All right, so let's talk about another one. This is a really cool one because it was a physical experience that I experienced. I was sleeping one night. I felt something beside me. And when you do that, now, normally when I feel stuff beside me, I have the power to control my reaction, to control what I'm doing so that I don't go into a fear space. Because if I go into a fear space, there might be fear. Fear can create damage. It can create violent reactions. It can create running, hot, fight or flight type of thing, freeze mode, all these other things. So I'm pretty good after all these years of not going into a fear reaction, but something was going on where this being had their hand, and I don't remember if they were reaching for my arm and touching my arm or my heart. I feel like their hand was over my chest, and it was a little tiny hand. It was like a little tiny arm, little tiny hand, basically that of a child, maybe, you know, 10 years old, not a very big child, definitely not a teenager. And I woke up suddenly. I had been on kind of on my side, and I woke up and I rolled over and I grabbed its arm. And that's something I used to do in college too. It's a normal response for me. Like, I would be sleeping, and if somebody was in the room and like tried to put their hand on the bed or tried to just, being in college and around young people, you like mess with people in their sleep, but they would go to touch me. Before they'd even touch me, I would roll over and grab their arm. I knew, because as soon as they do that action, they're in my energetic field. And so I would just and grab them and be like, what the hell are you doing? And in college, it's funny because people, you're dead asleep, and people are like, how the hell do you do that? And I'm sitting there going, I don't know. Like, I just can feel the energy, and I can feel you moving, and it breaks me out of my sleep, and I feel like somebody's there that's not supposed to be. So I snap and roll over and grab it so they're not doing anything to me. Now, I did that in this moment, rolled over, grabbed this arm, and looked up, and it like felt weird. It felt too skinny, and it felt um, different. My guides are saying like more rubbery, not like skin. And so I grab it, I wake up, and I'm like, what are you do? Oh, and I see this little tiny, very Zeta like being. I don't know if they were a Zeta, but very Zeta like being standing beside my bed, and you can just feel the fear. Like, oh my God, he woke up. And I'm like, and the reaction I had was to grab him, and he's not gonna get away. Like, they were physically there. And I believe there was at least one more like him. There might have been two. And then there was this guy in the corner, this big guy. Now this one was 5, 6 feet tall, standing in the corner. He, though, was more phased out. He was more energetic in nature. I could see through him, but the little guy was physical. Like, I was holding on to him in that moment. And so I immediately asked, okay, like, why are you here? What are you doing? All those questions, and found out they were there for healing. This one here, the Zeta, he called himself a Zeta Gwonshon. Don't think he ever gave me a name. Yeah, he never gave me a name that I remember anyway. And so he called himself a Zeta Gwonshon and said, we're here for healing. We're doing some work to help you upgrade all of this. It's okay. And I, let the little one go, and I'm like, I'm sorry, that sort of thing. And then they just went, we're gonna kind of leave you be and go and that sort of thing. So that's what happened. They did their thing, went off, and I rolled over back to bed. And then I woke up, and what was interesting is when I woke up, I was like, actually in the moment I had asked him, hey, can I draw you when I wake up? And they're like, yes, please draw us when you when you have time. So he was big. He was wearing like a robe or maybe a tunic-y dress type thing. I don't know. Um, I, fashion is one of the things I just don't have the words for. But he had four eyes, just like this, coming down his face. Big head, big head. And then that kind of, there was a mouth there, but it kind of like came down in this strange fashion. Uh, it was very interesting because I had never seen a four-eyed being in that fashion in the form of a Zeta-like being. Now, from his notes, he said, let's see, he was the leader of the Zeta team from Zeta B. Now, the Zetas are interesting because the ones that actually come from the star system, when they talk about the planets and the places they're from, in Zeta Reticuli might be a binary. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they'll give me like numbers and letters and designations, not like planet names like we would have it. It's more like how our astronomers label things like, M22 and, Z33, like they give a letter and a number. These guys are kind of the same way. So he said he was from Zeta B. There's a hybrid of two species, Zeta reticulans and Gwonshons. I had never heard the word Gwonshon before. I posted it on my story the day that I drew this, and I had a friend who's very connected and has experienced different beings, and she was like, "Oh my God, I've heard that word too," and that was just validating because I was like, I don't like, am I making up words here? What's going on? And they just showed up one night. Yeah, those are the notes that I have there. But I do have a channel on my Instagram, I believe, where he shared a message. There's a picture of him on Instagram, and he shares a message, so you can find that there. And their whole thing was they were healing me. I woke up in the middle of the night. They were peaceful, but I had that not necessarily a fear reaction, but a like, what are you doing shock reaction, grabbing them to make sure that everything was okay. And everything was. I asked the questions, and that's why I tell these stories, because I'm like, in those moments, you ask the questions. Why are you here? What are you doing? What's your intention? And they will explain it to you. And if you're in a space and they're like, okay, we're just going to back off for a little bit, they'll back off and go their way. They'll do their healing work. Maybe they'll come back another time, that sort of thing. And there's really nothing to fear because they're here to help. And they do have all kinds of likenesses. Like a lot of people see these beings just with one set of eyes, and then now you know that there are those with four sets of eyes because they're hybridized with some other species. And I've never seen a Gwonshon. I've never come into contact with one so far. They haven't brought that to me, but the image I get is that these are these are beings with multiple eyes, and they're able, and others have been able to take the DNA and merge them together, just like 99% of the universe has been created is through taking natural organisms and merging them all together. We could get into evolution, creation. There's a video on that under the Unleash Your Spirit course, but a lot of the beings out there are hybrids of other beings, and our own DNA is even tweaked. There is this, we have evolution, and that does exist, but a lot of us are created through the tweaking and injection and manipulation of other genetic factors to build our genome, our DNA strands. Nothing else is coming to me. I haven't been in contact with him really since that night. They were kind of a one and done, came, do their healing, poof, took off type of thing. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. I hope you're enjoying this so far. If you would like to support the work, you can do so with spirit art readings, where you can get drawings of your guides and divine council transmissions, show your whole team, donations and tips, that sort of thing, at awakenwithwillow.com. Grateful for each and every one of you, and I love you all.